Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. Today I'm going to talk about how to reduce the bounce rate by auto-validating emails in MassMailer. I'm sure some of you must be familiar with the email verify feature that we launched in the recent past. As an extension to that feature, we also have integration with the process builder through which you can actually auto-validate emails. I'll kind of explain what it means. Um, you keep getting a lot of leads from various other sources. Maybe somebody is entering those leads manually in Salesforce, or maybe you're importing. So there are various ways that you capture leads and then enter them into Salesforce CRM, right? At the same time, if you're not sure on the source of the data, you would want to validate that information. There are two options for you. Either you could validate once the record gets saved in Salesforce by clicking on MassMailer verify button, or you could auto-validate. So today, the previous webinars, I did talk about how to validate by going to a specific record and click a button. I'm happy to demonstrate that to you today, how you do it manually. But the main purpose of this webinar is to kind of discuss how do you auto-validate, right? Doesn't matter even if you're getting the lead from a web to lead form that you have, meaning like if you have a web form on your website where somebody is entering piece of information that gets captured as a lead into your Salesforce CRM system, you could actually auto-validate that, or somebody manually entering a lead, you could auto-validate. And again, it doesn't matter which object it is for the demonstration purposes today. I'm going to show you how to do this for a lead object. But in reality, you could actually validate any object provided that is enabled in MassMailer in any email field, provided you have that field as verifiable email, and it should be email type. The field should be the email type. Okay? So how does this work? Again, this works to the Salesforce process builder, right? There's an Apex class called verify via MassMailer that you would have to invoke in the action when you're defining a process in process builder. And it's quite easy, not that complicated. If you're not familiar with process builder, I'm sure one of your Salesforce admins can kind of guide you. So we don't have a packaged process that comes with MassMailer. That's something that we're gonna maybe roll out eventually as a flow, but it's again quite simple. So if you look at this process, what it's doing, you have a lead. That's what you're kicking off a process on. And there's some sort of a check. Again, this check is basically customizable. Anything that you kind of want to validate, saying that, hey, so-and-so lead is coming from web source maybe, and then you want to validate only those leads that are coming from a web source. No, you can validate that way. So you kind of filter which lead you want to validate. And then there's an action, verify email. That is what you can define. And it is actually just calling a simple Apex called verify via MassMailer. And then all you're doing is just passing the email field, which email field you want to verify, and the record ID for the context. So basically, you're just passing that I want to verify this particular lead, and the ID is the reference field. So that's more technical. So it's a mandatory requirement in the process builder. Okay. And the same thing here, just kind of a view that is clear. So just calling the Apex class and passing just the email field information and the record ID. If you want to validate multiple email addresses, that's okay. All you need to do is just have the comma separated values entered in the selected field. So the input fields are just two. That's it. One is the comma separated email field API name. Again, the label is different from API name if you're not sure in Salesforce. So any email field that you have, make sure that you know the API name for that. That's what you need to enter. And the ID field is nothing but the reference field, as I mentioned, so we know which object you're trying to um, validate. Okay. And once the validation is done, this is the piece of information that we store under that email verified status object. That is address itself, or the email address itself, status, substatus. In accounts, that is email address without the domain, and then few other information, whether it is a free email address, if we found MX, or what is the MX record, who is the SMTP provider, what's the first name, last name, gender, city, region, zip code, country, and what time this record got verified. That's the processed information. Okay. And when it comes to the verification status itself, there are two status values that we capture. That is status and the substatus. Status is valid, invalid, catch-all, unknown, spam trap, abused, not email. And the substatus is a long list that you can go through, when you have time. So just to elaborate the status values there, valid means it's a valid email. Invalid means it's invalid and it do not email them. Catch-all, meaning it's more like an alias, like sales at abc.com or info at abc.com, or maybe it's any other alias that the company has created, right? So those are called catch-all. It's not recommended to send emails to catch-all status because it may have an impact on the overall email deliverability. So we do not recommend, but again, we do not suppress it, though it's all up to you if you want to send email to catch-all status. Unknown meaning, for some reason, we are unable to validate this email address, maybe because the server is down, whatever reason, that's called unknown. Spam trap is kind of it's a trap to identify the spammers. So those email addresses are deliberately created by the organization so that they can catch the spammers. So you got to be very careful if at all you purchase a list. You do not know. Sometimes you may have spam trap emails. You want to make sure that those are eliminated. So a big no, do not email the spam trap email addresses. And same thing with abuse. You do not want to send email to those people who actually abuse. There's a global list of email addresses that is captured, where people actually abuse. So that should be, again, suppressed. We do auto suppress though. And do not mail. This is another status value where some of the do not email substatus values are auto suppressed for you. And I'll go through that in the next slide. So you should not be emailing them. So these are the suppressed verification status, meaning auto suppressed rather. So we auto suppress invalid, spam traps, abuse, and do not email with the substatus global suppression, disposable, and toxic. So these are the various status values that we auto suppress for you. So you don't have to worry about them. What we do not auto suppress is obviously unknown and the catch-all. Again, if you want to follow strict guidelines, you should always send emails to only valid email addresses. Any other status value doesn't matter. Do not send emails. That's the kind of recommendation that we always provide. But if your business mandates that you have to send emails to catch-all, you could do that. But with, again, low volume and following all the best practices, you could do that. So there are two objects that are important in the email verification feature that we have. One is the verification status itself and the verification job. these two are master details. Object, so master is job, and the status is detail. So status is related to every single object that is enabled in MassMailer, provided there is a email field on the object, and then it holds the email verification information as we discussed. And then email verification job will have the statistics information, meaning if you submitted maybe a mass verification job, meaning like maybe 10,000 you want to verify at the same time, um, out of 10,000, maybe 9,000 could be valid and 1,000 could be invalid. So that kind of a statistics information is captured under the job object, and then it is related to every single object that's enabled in MassMailer. So those are the two objects that we have. Now let's take a look at the demo here, process builder. So this is the demo process. So what we are doing is we are capturing the lead information, and whenever the lead is created, that's when we're going to check if this lead last name equals verify. So this is just for the demonstration purpose, but you could always add any other validation, such as maybe the lead source is coming from say web, then you want to validate. So you could always do that. So I'm just going to go save this just for the demonstration purpose here. And we can actually use this validation to verify. And finally, we have this verify email action, where you're selecting the verify via MassMailer is the Apex class, and I have two attributes that are being passed, or variables that are being passed. One is the selected field, so you just have to type in the actual field API name. In this scenario, we are just trying to validate the standard email field, and the API name for that is email. And if you are not sure what is the API name, I'm happy to demo that, how to find out the API name in a moment. And the record ID, again, you have to select the field reference, and then lead ID is what you're going to select. So every object will have its own ID field. If you are validating, say, contact object or maybe a custom object, you would select the respective Salesforce ID field as the record ID. That's mandatory. So once you've done that, you just have to save, and then you can activate it. So I can go and activate the latest version that I have. So that's pretty much it. So now what you've done is you just basically created a simple process. And then now let's go back to Salesforce. So I have the leads tab open here. What I would do, I would just go create a brand new lead here. I will give a name to it. So let's just say demo, and then last name, as I said, we just have that verify as a condition in the scenario. So let's just go give a company name. So the lead status doesn't matter. I think we have the lead source. Let's see if I have the source. Okay, the lead source is web. Only then we are going to check this email if it's valid or not. So to start with, I would just go let's say massmailer.com. Yeah. I know that this domain does not exist. Rather, domain may exist, but the inbox does not exist. So let's just go save this. Okay. You can see that the lead got created, and then verify job is already submitted. And it's going to go refresh. Let's take a look at the job. Okay, it's saying still in progress. It's completed, and it says invalid one, and this is the demo lead, and the verification status is captured, and this is the status value. Let's take a look at it, and you can see that so the status is invalid for this particular email address, and then it does not accept mail. So meaning there is no MX found is false, right? So there's no MX server. So they have not even set up the email server for this particular domain, and that's what it means with the error. So that's basically is the way you could auto-validate any email address just by creating a simple process on this. And let's say you want to kind of do a quick test on maybe a valid email address. Let's just do a quick test here. I'm just going to call this as maybe demo one. Last name verify again, just for the testing purposes. And this is a valid email address. And I'm going to select lead source as web and then save it. Okay, so lead got created. Verification job is also created. And we got the verification status here. Let's take a look. And you can see that this particular email address is valid. And there is an MX record, and MX record is found true. And it is SMTP provider is G Suite. So you would actually know who is the SMTP provider. If at all you want to kind of segregate your email addresses based on who the SMTP provider is, you can always do that. I mean, if you want to be very, very careful about your email deliverability, then you could always segregate all the G Suite users versus Outlook users or Microsoft Exchange users and rest of them, such as AOL or Yahoo or any other servers. And then you could follow, different best practices for each one of them if needed. That's always possible, right? So if your reputation is very high in Gmail, and if you want to route all the traffic through a specific dedicated IP address, you can create an IP pool and then route the traffic only to those G Suite users. It's kind of an advanced technique though, but MassMailer does provide IP pool feature, as you know. You could always route the traffic to those G Suite users through the IP pool that is designated for the G Suite users versus Outlook or Exchange users. So, you could always do that. So that piece of information is very valuable. That's what it means. And then, so taking a look at the job object. So if I go here, this is the job name. Here we capture, what is the billable count. Again, it's very important piece of information because MassMailer Verify is not free, even though we give you 100 free credits when you sign up with MassMailer. But if you wanted to validate more than 100, you will have to purchase the package of the credit. I'm happy to show you the pricing though. So basically what it means is how many are billable. The way we calculate that is, if at all, like you submitted, say, 1,000 emails to verify, and maybe we could not identify 100 of them. So what we are able to verify is 9,900. 100 is unknown, so we do not bill that 100. So you are getting billed only for 9,900, even though we assign those credits, and those credits get dropped as and when you consume the email verification credits. So that's what it means. means, and then total, how many are submitted, how many are valid, how many invalid, how many are catch-all, how many are unknown, how many do not email, how many abuse, and how many spam trap. So that's what we basically store. And job status, whether it is in progress or completed, and if at all you're coming from a campaign, we store that. And other information such as, what is the relationship between the object and the job, verified job. So in this scenario, we validated lead, and that's what you see here. And also, if you go to the related, you would see the respective verification status record that is related to the master detail. We also have some reports that you could take a look at. Overall, like verification jobs, if at all you want to, all MassMailer verified status report. These are kind of stored under MassMailer report. So if I search, so there's verify status report that you can actually take a look, which will give you all the emails that are verified. I may have a lot of them here, so it may take time to really load. So the 52,000 records, and total free email is 4,790. So this is again another culprit. So if at all there's any free email address, you got to be careful though. So just want to let you know. And toxic email addresses or short-lived email addresses are very dangerous, even though we are anyways automatically suppressing them for you. So that should be good. And just to show you how the suppressions actually look, if you're not familiar, you can go to MassMailer suppression list, and I would pull up the suppression list here. I hope it's going to load some of them. So let's say, for an example, this particular list email address is invalid, and this is automatically added to the suppression list. So if I go to this particular record, so this is the suppression list related to this particular lead, and this is the email address. And the reason why this is added to suppression list is because this email address is invalid, and the reason is MX box not found. So you do not have to worry about some of the suppressed email status values, because we auto suppress them for you, meaning those are added to suppression list. What is not added to suppression list is unknown values, and also the catch-all. So we do not add them to suppression list. So you got to filter them based on what you want to do with them. And since you're familiar with, most of you are familiar with MassMailer list views, you can always filter based on the child object for any target object that you're trying to send emails. I know it's kind of a language that I'm using, which is more proprietary for MassMailer, but I'm hoping that you're familiar with this for CRM, where the parent object and the child object is kind of the concept is clear for you. Okay. And then we want to take a look at the API name. So let's just go to Salesforce setup here real quick, and then go to Object Manager. So the easiest one that we demonstrate to the lead object. So if you find the email address, this is called the API name, the field name. This is labeled. In this scenario, both are same though, but you can see here, this is email_2, which is a custom email address, and it has this __c. So you have to copy paste this API name if at all you wanted to validate. So for example, if I copy this and then make sure that it's an email field, we do not support non-email fields. It has to be email field type. Yeah, the data type should be email. So process builder, if I go back here, I'm actually going to go clone this just to show you how to validate multiple email addresses. So you go here, and then all you need to do is just put comma and then add that the second email address and save it. So what it does, if you have two email addresses, that you wanted to auto validate at the same time, you can do that. Just have the comma separated value, and then make sure that you have the email value into that field. Even if it's not there, that's okay. We would not care. Whatever is available, we would validate that, and you just have to activate once you made those changes. So that's pretty much it. And then if you ever wanted to validate email addresses by going to the, sorry, okay, so let's just go back to the lead object once again. Lead, and then, okay, so this is the object. If you wanted to validate using the UI, so there's a button called MassMailer Verify. You come here, click on that button, and that's going to open up the screen, and then you can select what email field that you wanted to verify. If you want to verify both, that's okay. You just have to select that and then submit. So we do support the parent object and the child object as well. It's quite advanced. I did demo this in another webinar. If you're interested, you can always take a look at our YouTube channel, go through the previous webinar. All you need to do is just submit, and then we auto validate, we validate these email addresses behind the scenes for you. Right, that's pretty much it. And then we do have the actual, we do have other ways of validating emails, that is through the MassMailer list view. We also let you validate from campaign. We also let you validate from Salesforce list view as well. So you would find those buttons in many places. So this is MassMailer Verify. And if you want to validate a lead from, say, this list view, that's fine too. So all you need to do is go to any list view that you created, and you always have an option to select multiple and then do verify, or don't select anything. If you want to validate all of them in one go, don't select anything and then just say MassMailer Verify. Same button you would see on campaign as well. Once again, I've gone through all these use case scenarios in the other webinars. Feel free to watch our YouTube channel. Otherwise, today's agenda was to kind of go through the process builder process and how to auto validate. The demonstration was done on the lead object, but you can do it on any object. It doesn't matter. So having said that, I'm done with my webinar. Any questions? Okay. So if you don't have any questions, that's fine. The next webinar is going to be again Thursday at 9 a.m. Next Thursday at 9 a.m. The topic would be posted to your website, and if you're part of our email distribution list, you will receive an email with the recording for this webinar, as well as you will also know what is the next week's topic. And feel free to go to our website and then click on join webinar, through which you can find out the upcoming topic as well. Once again, thank you so much for joining the webinar today. Appreciate it, and have a great day.